Okay, nice people. We are going to jump in because there's a lot to talk about. So welcome everybody. Hanukkah Sameach. Shine your light. Shine your light. If there's one thing my kids would say that is Abba's mantra is shine your light. Okay, so let's do that. Everybody has their handout. Everybody's printed it out. Everyone has a pen. And if you don't, it's in the chat box. Okay, let's check in. Nice people. On a 1 to 10, how present are you now? Give me a number here. 3, 5,
11.
11. Well, good. You're raising the group. I see a 6 though. I see a few 6s and 5s. Got to do some. Let's do some focus. We work a lot off each other's energy, so let's help each other out. It's a group. It's a group. Every person has a soul. We talked about Am Yisrael having a soul. Every group has a soul. So this group also has a neshama. So we help each other. We work things out together. So let's jump in. This is our third session. We're at Ayeka. We're talking about Rav Kook's approach to what is the Jewish people, Am Yisrael. We're not just a bunch of people. We're not just individuals. There's something else going on. In the first class, what did we talk about? Am Yisrael has a neshama, has a soul. In mystical language, it's called Knesset Yisrael. Knesset Yisrael is always the name for the soul of the Jewish people. We have a soul, and what does the soul do? Well, just like my soul is always talking to me, so my soul is alive. My soul is alive. The Jewish people's soul is alive. Rav Kook talks a lot, and we'll be talking about this on December 27th at the end when we do this double session. There's an inner music to the universe. The universe is alive. There is a melody to the universe. The universe is singing, is playing. There's an inner symphony going on. And one of those notes is the soul of the Jewish people, pulsating, vibrating, talking, making music. What is it saying? What is the soul of the Jewish people saying? It's saying oneness, just like God. Oneness, oneness. Bring oneness into the world. Bring harmony into the world. Bring tikkun into the world. That's our force. More than any other people, we cannot tolerate disunity. We look at the world, and that's why we said Jewish music is usually in a minor key. There's a certain angst to it, right? We can't take the disunity of the universe. This is what motivates us. It doesn't cause despair, depletion, exhaustion, sadness. The seeking the oneness causes yearning. It impels us to act. Think of how many social changes the Jewish people have done, how many revolutions, how many unions have we started, right? It impels us to action, to seeking the oneness. That was the first class, dream alignment. We have one dream, we're working together. Second class, what did we talk about? And we had a wonderful breakout session on Sunday. Oh my God, it was so meaningful, it was so good. I'm gonna invite people again for this Sunday, it's so helpful. Second session, we talked about individual spirituality. Individual spirituality, I'm a branch from the tree. Keep that image in mind, the branch from the tree. I don't have any life of my own. My spirituality is drawn from my connection to the Jewish people. I live an individual life. I have an individual path. I have an individual soul. But I draw my energy, my spirituality from the dreams of the Jewish people, my connection, my roots, putting down my roots in the Jewish people. So this is where we are. We have a soul. It seeks oneness. That's our dream. And I individually, I'm part of this symphony. I'm one branch. I'm one note in the symphony of the Jewish people. I'm one voice in the choir of the Jewish people. I'm one player on the team of the Jewish people. Are you with me? Give me a sign of life. We're good? We're good? Okay, so now we're going on. And it flows. That's what I want you to get, people. This just naturally flows. If we have one soul, and I draw my individuality from the symphony of this one soul, then it has to be, and put both hands on your knees. No knee-jerking response here, and don't fall off your chair. But it has to be that I love all of the Jewish people. And today we're going to talk about Ahavat Yisrael, loving the Jewish people. Loving the Jewish people, because it's like Keilu, it's as if I love myself. I'm loving another branch from the tree. I'm loving the tree. Does my liver love my kidney, love my stomach, love my heart, love my intestines? I'm all part of one organism. So we have to, the body has to get along. If I only, care about one part of my body, I want my biceps to be really big, so I'm going to lift a lot of weights. Well, I may hurt my back. So if as an individual, I have to care for the whole body. So as a people, the Jewish people, we have to care for the whole body. Ahavat Yisrael, loving every Jew. Loving not only every Jew, but loving every group of Jews. Okay? Loving every group. Okay, now a reality check. On a 1 to 10, how hard is this to do? To love every Jew, love every group to Jew. How hard is it? I see some 10s. I see a lot of 10s. Like, oh my God, just throw out some, I live in Israel. All my kids went into the army. There are whole groups of people who in principle don't go to the army. It drives me nuts a little bit. What if you're a part of, I don't know, Jews for Democrats? So how do you feel about Jews for Republicans? How do you feel about Jews for, Jews for vegetarians? All Jews for left or right. Elie Wiesel said the wisest thing. He said, where's your favorite place in the world? I said this last week, Jerusalem, when I'm not there. What a deep thing. Living in Israel, there is no question, for me, there's no question, there's no competition. The hardest mitzvah to do is this one. And it's not just my annoying neighbor and that guy yesterday who didn't stop beeping this morning, beeping his horn behind me and then cut me off. I got to love that guy too. And I got to love that group. And in Israel, we have elections every few months, and I got to love that other party. And this is the hardest thing to do. But of course, I have to have Ahavat Yisrael, because it's as if I love myself. This is the hard spiritual inner work we have to do. It is too easy to love the people who I agree with. It is too easy to love the people I like. It is too easy to love the people who are lovable. Okay, so that's our introduction. And we're going to figure out what are the practical ramifications of this. So let's jump in. Nice people, to the first source. Source number 1, if you don't have it, it's in the chat box. Source number 1 says, oh my God, this is just poetry of Rav Kook. Source number 1, Shimu alai ami, listen to me, my people. Mitoch nishmati ani medaber imachem. I'm talking from my soul. Mitoch nishmat nishmati, from the soul of my soul, from my inner point. Says Rav Kook, listen to me. Ani mukhrach le'ahava etchem. Ahava en ketz. I must love you, and with endless love. Ein ketz, endless love. That's spiritual. That's like we say, oh, God is Ein Sof. There's no end. It's a spiritual love. So I just want us to look at this beautiful line of Rav Kook again. First of all, I want us to just notice, oh my God, how vulnerable is he? How vulnerable. I don't know if I can be this vulnerable. Even if I'm writing in my private diary that I don't expect anybody to read, can Aryeh write, I love without end. That's such an open, vulnerable thing. Got to take a deep breath. That's a scary thing to write. Give me a sign of life. Yes? That's a lot of vulnerability. Did you ever say to somebody, I love you without end. I must love you? Yeah, maybe. I hope you said it. But it's kind of a very open, vulnerable, scary thing to say. This is Rav Kook. And he says, Ani mukhrach, I have to love you. I'm compelled to love you. I need to love you. It's not like it's a nice thing and it enhances my life. It's not, listen carefully, it's not, I have decided to love you. I am choosing to love you. I must love you, and kids. So we got to explore this here, because I just find this, just give me a sign of life. Have you ever heard a rabbi in your synagogue on the bima get up and talk and open his heart or her heart like this, I must love the Jewish people with all of my heart. This is a very astonishing thing, this open vulnerability. And I gave you 3 lines. It's a whole poem of Rav Kook that goes on and on about, oh my God, I can't believe this is like so intimate. So let's take a look now. It says Rav Kook in source number 2. The source number 2 we saw a long time ago, for those of you who were in the love seminar, our first seminar. It says Rav Kook, I love everything. I cannot help but love all people, all peoples. I want in the depths of my heart the glory of everything, the healing of everything. That's what it means to be a spiritual person. The spiritual person must be the most loving person you know, because spiritual is oneness, and being one, it means loving. That's what it means to live in the image of God. But I want to focus on the next paragraph. My love for Israel is more passionate, deeper, but the inner desire spreads to a love of everything. Rav Kook is walking this line between universal love and particular love. Universal love, particular love. He loves everything, and he loves the Jewish people deeper. And we can understand that. Listen, I love all of you. I'm not embarrassed to say it, but I don't think you'll find this offensive at all if I say, but my love for my wife is deeper and more passionate. Nobody's offended by that. You would think that's crazy if it's not true. So that's Rav Kook. I love the whole world, but my love for my family, the Jewish people, is deeper and more passionate. But listen to the last line. Now look here. I have no need to force this feeling of love. This is not, there's no effort. How can that be? There's no effort. It stems directly from the sacred depth of the wisdom of the divine soul. Wow, that's what I want us to focus on. The sacred depth of the wisdom of the divine soul. That's worthy. Just, we're not going to do it, but that'd be worthy just to sit on that line for the next hour. The sacred depth of the wisdom of the divine soul. That's where my love comes from. It comes from the wisdom, right? The chokhmah. In Hebrew, it's chokhmah. There are 2 words for Hebrew, not for wisdom in Hebrew. Yeda. Yeda is earthly wisdom, human wisdom. Yeda. Chokhmah is spiritual wisdom, God's wisdom. This is soulful spiritual wisdom. That's where my love comes from. What does that mean? That means I'm just listening to my soul. Get this, nice people. I'm just, says Rav Kook, I'm listening to my soul. And my soul is saying, love the Jewish people, because it's part of me, because I'm one with them. It's my hard wiring. It's as if I'm loving myself. Not to love part of the Jewish people, listen carefully, would be a negation of the dream of the Jewish people, because the dream of the Jewish people can only be accomplished by everyone together. So my love, it just flows from the wisdom of the divine soul. Wow. Let's go on a little bit.
Can I ask a question?
Jump in, Barbara.
I just want to clarify love. Is love the same as like? For example, we say to our children, I love you, but I don't like your behavior. Can we love the Jewish people, but not like some of the things they do?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes we have to give tough love. I would say Rav Kook gives tough love sometimes. But the core, the foundation of it all is oneness, is love. A few notes here, a few notes in the chat. What about I love you except for the part I really hate? Does I love you have to mean I love every single bit of you? No, that's like, good. I'm glad we're on the same wavelength here. No, I can give tough love. But again, Rav Kook will say, when I don't like something, it's not the person or the group. It's an act. You hate the action, but you love the person. You love the person. And this is, I find this, Rav Kook talked a lot about, if I say I love you, who is affected more by that? The I or the you? Listen to me. Listen carefully. It's a beautiful idea, Rav Kook. If I say I love you, you got the lover and the lovee, the lover and the beloved. Who is impacted more by it? Says Rav Kook. the lover. When I love, in fact, that act, that emotion changes me. That changes me. Even more than the beloved feels my love. I am changed when I love. When I love more, I am changed. There are some people that are more loving, and you see it in them. They are more loving. So Rav, imagine now you love the Jewish people. You love all people. Imagine that. So let's go on a little bit here. Says source number 3. The love of the Jewish people and the work to defend it both collectively and individually. Again, Sanegor. Rav Kook is the defender of the Jewish people. The defender individually and as a group of the Jewish people is not only emotional work, but a great and holy discipline, a deep and expansive wisdom. Okay, so this, again, we got to deepen this idea here. Usually we think of love as an emotion. And I fall in love with somebody. And then I want to learn more and more and more and more about them. For Rav Kook, it works the opposite. My love is a result of my wisdom. My spiritual wisdom says, I love you. My spiritual wisdom says, I want to be one with you. And that evokes the emotion. My emotion is a result of my spiritual awareness. Get that again. This is a new idea, I think. My love and my emotion is the result of my intellectual, spiritual awareness. What does that mean? That means I can actually guide my love. I can direct my love. I can even decide my love. It's a function of my wisdom, my spiritual wisdom. Says Rav Kook, look at that again. It's not only emotional work, but a great and holy discipline, a deep and expansive wisdom. Chochma amuka v'rachava. Chochma amuka v'rachava. It's a spiritual awareness. So again, spirituality, look at me here. This is important for us. Being spiritual for Rav Kook was not just loving God, was not just in this direction, was not just, v'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha, as we say in the Shema. Being spiritual was not just this. For Rav Kook, being spiritual was also this. We said this last time, loving everyone. That's the extension of my wisdom. I want you to look at me here. Rav Kook, in a certain sense, is just a surfer. He is surfing. He is surfing the wave of God. Look at me here. There's a wave. The oneness of God comes through me and out to everybody. I am surfing the love wave of God. It's natural. It flows through me. All I have to do, listen carefully, is not get in the way. That's what a surfer does. A surfer just doesn't get in the way. You glide, you go less, you surf. So I can't, what gets in the way? My ego, my self-image, my insecurity, my fear, my honor. I got a lot of stuff that'll get in the way. But Rav Kook says, this is the chokhmah and amukah, the deep wisdom of letting it flow. Okay, now, nice people, all of this was introduction. Okay, all of this was introduction. You got it? Summary. I'm part of the Jewish people. I'm part of the oneness of the Jewish people. Therefore, I have this chibur, this connection, this oneness with everybody. It flows. Every branch of the tree loves every other branch of the tree because we're all part of the same organism, right? Barbara says, how is this different from loving all of humanity? Well, it's the same idea, but it's more intense. It's more intense because the tree loves all of nature. The tree loves all the ground and the tree loves the other trees in the forest, but it's more intense to love your own tree. Okay, did you get that? I love all the trees in the forest, but I love my tree the most because I'm closest to it. But all of this was theoretical for us. Now we're going to get tachless. Now we're going to make it hard for us. Now we're going to jump here. Source number 4. Yes, Scott?
Can the tree love the bark beetle that eats it?
Absolutely. We're going to get to it.
Okay.
Good
Oh, yeah.
question.
Oh, yeah. Could I just say something for a minute?
Yeah, Peter.
Yeah. This is good stuff. In my inquiry into the nature of love for years and years, to me, one of the things that was really helpful was the question, who is this I that is supposed to love? And to give it the bottom line is, when I saw the I as my ego, then it was really hard because it was really hard to love because I had opinions, I had judgments, I felt frightened, I had to protect myself, all that kind of stuff. But the minute I let go of the ego and identified myself, shall we say, with the ground of all being, as my rabbi likes to say, then, as you said so beautifully, the love comes through. There is no I loving something in a duality where in a kind of barter. Just a quick example, I lived in San Diego at the time, and I was having a fight with my wife, who I really love. And I said, why the hell am I fighting? I just want to love her. And I'm so angry at her, for not being the way I wanted her to be, right? That was a joke. And so I drove to the desert and I asked for help, and I sat there under a Ocotillo cactus in the Anza Borrego desert. And I said, I asked for some guidance. And what came is that it's not it's not your love. You don't love. You're just a vehicle. The love is the source of it is, shall we say, the divine. And that made so much sense to me.
Peter, I love it. I love it. I love it. What you're saying is so deep, and it's important to all of us here. The ego is one of the things that gets in the way. Rav Kook is talking about a love of two soulmates. And I am a soulmate with the Jewish people. That's what we are. And it's not, as you said, it's not a utilitarian thing. It's not, I love you. Do you love me? I love you. What am I going to get from it? It's just a giving. It's just a flowing. It's just a giving. It's just a loving. It's just to be one because that's the dream. That's the symphony. Every player in the symphony wants everybody else to play on key also. So I love what you say, but now we're going to make it harder. Take a look at number 4. Thank you, Peter. Look at number 4. Oh my God, is this hard? It says number 4, there is not a single member of the Jewish people who does not breathe a spark of the soul of the Mashiach. Ah. On the one hand, this is so beautiful. Oh my God, beautiful. I'm back at Woodstock. I'm back at Woodstock. I'm back at a free love and love for everybody. I love it. On the other hand, if Rav Kook were in this room now, I would say to him, really? Are you kidding me? What about that guy that I know? That guy has a spark of the Mashiach? I don't see it. I don't see that guy having it. What about that boss who fired me? What about that neighbor who was arguing about the garbage? What about that guy who took my parking? What about that group of people who are demonstrating against something I believe? Are you kidding me? Every Jew has a spark of the Mashiach. What is Rav Kook saying? Yeah, we're all one organism. We are one organism. We have the same level, spiritual DNA of the Jewish people because we have one mission that can only be accomplished by all of us. We have one symphony that only can be played by all of us, and that is to make the world one. And for that, we need every Jew. The Torah wasn't given to just the good Jews and just the moral Jews or just the spiritual Jews. The Torah was given to the Jewish people who left Egypt, not just the good, nice, kind Jews that I like, all of Am Yisrael. So everyone has this element here. And again, this demands a lot of personal work. And now we're going to make it even harder. Source 5 is the cherry on the ice cream. This is everything. Source number 5. Are you with me? Give me a sign of life. Source number 5 is so intense. What did Rav Kook want? Rav Kook wanted to create a holy nation connected to God, living in God's image. That was his dream. And look at source number 5. He says, Harisha'im, the wicked, who act out of principle, breaking laws not for their own benefit, but to infuriate others. Pause for a second. Who's he talking about? The group of people who go out in public and eat cheeseburgers on Yom Kippur. You got it? They're not eating the cheeseburgers because they like the taste. He says it's not for their own benefit. In Hebrew, it's l'te'avon. It's not for their own desire. They're not doing it because they like the cheeseburgers. They're doing it davka to infuriate us in public, eating cheese. They're publicly having a pork barbecue in public out of principle on Yom Kippur.
And what about the ones who shame other Jews for not being as Jewish as them?
Hold on a second. Hold on.
The other
Yeah, those people too, but I'm just giving you an example here. Just an example. Okay, hold on one second. This group of people is the complete antithesis of Rav Kook. Can we get agreement on that? A complete agreement. We talk about dream alignment. These people are anti the dream of Rav Kook. And not just one person, they're a group, a large group, an active, forceful, influential group that is in a certain sense defeating his dream for the Jewish people. They're popping his balloon. They're everything against what he hopes for. Actively, in principle. Now let's keep going. Says Rav Kook, their souls are very high. What? Their souls are very lofty. From the lights of Tohu. God, in the beginning, everything was Tohu Vavohu. Everything was chaos. Out of the chaos, God created order. The Tohu was even before the creation in the sense. It's the highest level in Kabbalah. Their souls are very lofty. Listen, they chose destruction and they destroy. They're not just theoretical people. They're not just philosophers or journalists. They're actually destroying. They are doing anti my dream. And the world is muddled by them and they are with it. They're creating a mess of the whole world. This is super anti-dream. Now says Rav Kook this, but within the core essence of their courage is a spark of holiness, which, when absorbed by more measured and controlled souls, offers them, these measured and controlled souls, greater life-giving strength. Oh my God, these anti-dream people who are, let's say, whatever, just demonstrating and living everything that's opposed to me, destroying my dream, says Rav Kook, that's only the surface. That's only the surface. At the core, underneath it all, they're on a high level and they're actually going to help us. They're going to help us. So this is how I understand Rav Kook. And this is the lesson for all of us. I understand Rav Kook being faced with something that was incredibly challenging and difficult. A group of people that were actively working against everything that he believed in and staked his life on. And then I see Rav Kook saying, but from the deep sacred wisdom, I love these people. And now, listen carefully, now I've got to figure out something about these people that I can love. I've got to seek and search and work to find something about these people that I love, to make it real. I've got to, this is, I think, a lot of intense, hard work to come up with something that these people don't even know they're doing it. They're not even aware of this positive effect they're having of giving greater life-giving strength. They're not even aware of it. But says Rav Kook, I'm going to find something. I'm not going to stop until I find something about these people I love. Do you get that? That is greatness. And the critics of Rav Kook and the people who wrote about Rav Kook when he was alive said, How do we know that he was a great human being? By how he responded in love with the people who wrote horrible things about him. He responded in love to those people. He didn't react. He didn't just ignore. He responded in love to those people. And this, I think, is our challenge. Rav Kook figured out a way to love someone who represented everything that he was opposed to. That's the hard work. That's where the rubber meets the road. So now I want everyone to take out a pen and paper. Okay? Let's take out a pen and paper. Rav Kook called these people kofrim. They were, how do you say kofrim? Rebellious ones. So here's the first question for us nice people. In my life, who are my kofrim? Who are the Jews? What group of Jews in my life represent something that is so hard for me to love them? It is so hard for me. I can't love them because they act, they talk and they act and they represent something that is just antithetical to my dream, to what I want. Who are my kofrim? Who are my challenge? And write a sentence. What is it about these people that is so hard for me to love them? What is it about this group of Jews? And if you can't think of a group, think of an individual, but it's good to think of a group. What is it about these people that is just so hard for me to love? And now, second question. Let's put on our Rav Kook glasses. We're putting on our Rav Kook glasses. And we're not just seeing what they do, but we're seeing underneath everything. And somehow their note in our symphony, which seems so off key, is actually going to make the symphony a drop better. The spice in that food, which I never would have put in, is actually going to make the taste better. Our second question, Chevre, is, can I dig deep and find some positive element in them that can enable me to love them, whether or not they are even conscious of it, of what they're doing? Can I somehow, I love them. I don't want them to stop the wave of my love. I'm not going to let them turn me into a not loving Jewish person. I'm not going to let them stop my wave of love, because that's what it is to be a spiritual Jew, to surf the wave of love of God. I'm not going to let them defeat me. So just put up a finger. I'm not going to ask you to share. Just put a finger. Were you able to identify a group of people? Were you able to come up with some strategy, something positive about them underneath everything that could possibly enable you to love them? Put up a finger if you could. Put up a finger if this was a very difficult exercise. Some of you. For some of these people, I'll speak personally. Some of these people this group, I don't want to love. I enjoy not liking them. I enjoy being angry. I enjoy dispelling my anger and my hatred on a group of people. It makes me feel, it makes me feel a little sanctimonious and self-righteous and a little, egotistical and superior, which is not a good quality. I'll grant you that. But I kind of like saturating in my anger a little bit. Makes me feel good, validates me a little bit, And I rant. I go on these polemics and rant against these people. Makes me feel good sometimes. Says Rav Kook, no. Externally, makes you feel good on the outside. Okay, nice people. There's a lot to think about here. There's a lot to process. Our goal here is to become more loving people for all of the Jewish people. Very hard work, okay? We're going to go to breakout rooms to process. Remember, let's find a positive way here. This is not a breakout room just to rant against that group that is difficult. No dominating, good listening, no judging. Be kind, okay? Let's go to that group. Remember to wait a little bit to make sure that your group comes in, and Yeshua is going to set us up into breakout rooms, okay? Let's do it. Shalom, welcome back. How was that? Have a good talk? Good, good, good. Okay, a drop of housekeeping before we go on. A reminder, you'll get a link for whoever wants this Sunday for a processing group. It was great on last Sunday, and we really get into good stuff. So encourage anybody who can do it. It's really good. And secondly, you probably got an email with a flyer about our end of year event, December 27th. Two sessions on Rav Kook. We're going to talk about the inner melody of the universe and being hopeful and optimistic, and his poetry and what poetic spirit. I mean, amazing stuff. I'm really going to, invite you again, and I'm going to invite you, send it to one person who might also like it. You don't need any background in Rav Kook. You don't need any background in Rav Kook to enjoy these two sessions. I think they'll get a lot out of it. It'd certainly be nice for Ayeka. And so think about that. Put that on your to-do list if you can. The 27th will be recorded. I don't think so. I'm not sure. It's for really people who come. So let's get back into it now. Again, I don't know if this is true or not, what Rav Kook was saying about this group of people. He wanted it to be true. He didn't want anyone to evoke the non-loving part of himself. He didn't want one cell of his being to be not loving. That is a spiritual transformation. Imagine you don't have a cell in your body that is not loving. Rav Kook wrote very, very harshly about Moshe Rabbeinu, getting angry at the Jewish people. He even criticized Moshe for being angry. He didn't want one cell of his whole being not to be loving. And here's the key word, which makes this so hard, but beautiful. It's unconditional. It's unconditional. I love, and now I may have to give tough love, and we may disagree, and I may have to rebuke, and all kinds of stuff. But I love other people, other Jewish people, unconditionally, like I love myself. That's where we are. So with that being, let's open it up to thoughts and comments from you all. Questions, thoughts, comments.
Is that loving them, or is that loving some kind of conception of them, some abstraction of them? I mean,
Yes, Menachem, right?
Meshulam.
Meshulam. Rav Kook, when people met Rav Kook, they said he was loving. When he went and he visited, he went and he did what was called Masah HaMoshavim,
Right.
the journey, and he went to all of these kibbutzim and these places where these people lived up north. And the people, we have this on video, people say, when Rav Kook came to our kibbutz, when he came to Daganya, one of these places with the pork barbecues, the people said, we felt as if a ball of fire from Mount Sinai had descended upon us. And Rav Kook wore this black coat all the time, like a rabbinic coat. And when he went to the kibbutz, he traded with a kibbutznik, gave him the black coat, and he took the kibbutz uniform and put it on. Okay? So we have video testimony from his time of how Rav Kook walked the walk. This was not abstract. Great question. Not abstract. He walked the walk. That's really who he was. Beautiful. Questions, comments,
he-
thoughts, nice people.
Can I?
Yeah,
He loved them because he found something that he could love in them, right? That they were building up the land, etc. Right? But the other part of them, which he couldn't stand, he sort of put on the side. And let's say in modern Israel, right, a lot of this sort of thing is the feeling that that's very condescending, right? I want you to love me for what I say I am, not for what you say I am, right?
Rav Kook, I
Um,
think, was a drop deeper. He loved people because he believed in their mystical souls. They may deny it. They may have been devout atheists and rebel, but he believed in their mystical souls. And so he loved them. Look, I have said many times to my children, listen, I love you. And you're in the doghouse for the next 7 eternities, right? That's it for what you've done. But I still love you, you know. And Rav Kook, he loved their souls. He felt a natural kinship with these people. And yes, then comes work to make it a little more palatable, to make it more palatable, to go deep into them. You know, didn't you ever, for those of you who have kids, didn't you ever have a teenager? And one of the beautiful things of a teenager is like they rebel and they're outrageous and they drive crazy. And it's beautiful also. They may completely be chutzpahdik, but there's a certain, once you don't react to their surface behavior, there's a deep, deep spiritual beauty in their discovering their own selves. And so this was also Rav Kook living this with other people. Living. Comments, thoughts, questions, nice people.
Yeah. There's something in number 2 that kind of speaks to me in the second source. It says, I want in the depths of my heart the glory of everything, the healing of everything. And I wonder if that can lead us to the loving of everyone despite what they do or what they say.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I'm having really hard problems with this, Aryeh. Also, I feel that there's, you know, if I was a white male, maybe I would feel better about this in some ways. As a female who's been, you know, kind of cut out from some of the branches of Judaism, by some of the branches of Judaism, it's kind of hard to relate to. But if I look at it through, well, we all have to heal to get to the loving, I understand it a little differently.
Well, Adrian, that's part of the work. That's part of the hard inner work to understand it differently. Let me just pick up on what you're saying here for everyone from Adrian. It's so easy to dislike. It's so easy to reject. I have my ideology, my belief, my values, my being, it's so easy to reject everything that's different and reprehensible to me. It's so easy, says Rav Kook, that you got to do the spiritual work. You have to dig deep. You know, that doesn't mean I agree. I'm not agreeing with that stuff. I'm not tolerating stuff. I'm not agreeing with stuff. I'm not justifying stuff. Rav Kook was a harsh critic of a lot of things, but the criticism came out of the basis of love. That's the thing. You know, if you don't, let me say it better. If you don't like somebody, so you should never give criticism, because they'll feel that. You can only give tough love if you have more love than tough.
Right.
So that's where it comes. That's the hard inner work. And the disciples of Rav Kook, you know, should be the people who are the ones who have this unconditional love for the Jewish people, right? Because look, how are we going to heal the world if we can't heal ourselves? How are we going to make one with the world if we can't make one with ourselves? We got to start, you know, with ourselves to make one.
Arya, I have to Yeah,
Evelyn.
I have a question. In order to be one with ourselves, don't we first have to remove that part within us that has hate? And the hatred has to be healed, and then we can love. If you can't love if you still have negative feelings inside of, for anyone, for a group. And
So
that's
that's an
going to work.
interesting, Evelyn, that's an interesting comment. The Torah never tells us do not hate. And Rav Kook wrote, in fact, in one place, an astonishing line, which he said, we've lost the ability to hate enough. But he's not talking about hating people. He's talking about hating certain actions. If you don't hate certain actions, it means you don't yearn enough for the healing, but never hating a person, never hating somebody who's created in the image of God. Rav Kook talked about how you have to love every blade of grass because God created that. All the more so for every person who's created in the image of God. Every person has a soul. And then even the Jewish people is even a deeper love, but I can still hate the action. I feel that about myself sometimes. Sometimes I hate some things that I do, but that should not cloud or negate the love I have for myself. Because God gave me a soul, so God loves me. God wants me. Nice people, take out a pen and paper. One more question. One more question, and it's always our question. We've been together for an hour. You had a breakout group. You've listened, you've talked, you've thought. What is your takeaway from today's session? Something you can actually, I don't know, do this week. Think about what is your particular, uniquely yours, your takeaway from today? Okay. We learn a lot from each other. We learn so much from each other. Anyone want to share their takeaway? Heather, I see a hand. Heather, unmute yourself and jump in.
The visualization of Rav Kook actually taking off his coat and putting the coat of the other on is going to always be with me. That image of the heart that it takes to do that, actually physically putting on someone else's clothes and understanding where they are different than me and have a different, process or different upbringing or different background. And that, taking off my coat and putting theirs on is just, it really moves me.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. And harmonic vibrations are so beautiful, I was the one who said that. But when I heard you say it the way you did, it affected me more. Isn't that so interesting? Interesting. Ken, jump in.
So I guess my journey to understand my meaning has led me to try to understand that my essence has to do with love. And so this reaffirms and gives me language and tools in which to express my sense of love, my essence. So it's reaffirming for me, even though it's a challenge, I hold it as the right path.
Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful. It's a challenge. Beautiful. We've said so many times, reading the writings of Rav Kook, these are all supposed to be not just inspirational, but aspirational. We're aspiring to these. These are high ideas. We may not get there. Well, for sure, we're going to not get there many times. But is it an aspiration? That's something I believe he's offering us. So thank you, Ken. Thank you. Carly, jump in.
I want to say that I love learning in a different, intergenerational type of format, because when I learn with my friends, I don't necessarily get the wisdom that I hear from others. And I have a teenager, and it's definitely starting to stress me out. So I appreciate the ideas of just smiling. Sheila, I think you wrote that. And recognizing that this is part of her growth and not necessarily just an attack on me. But in that kind of, from that point in my life, I think what I take away from today is that we really have to feel the sense of love for ourselves. And that gives us the power, the energy, like the fortitude, the strength to radiate that love out to others. And a few of you guys were on the call last week on Sunday when I had a hard time in spots. And I feel like, when I was in a place where I felt depleted, it took a toll on me. And so I have to remember that the love we give ourselves, it helps us to give that love to others.
Right. Beautiful, Carly. You were the segue into this session. Right. Your experience in spot. Yeah. Beautiful. Nice people. Who wants to jump in?
I'll jump in. What I took away is it became clear to me that the Torah actually provides love 101, the first step in it. And that is when God says, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, all thy soul, all thy mind, not some, but all. Okay. And my experience of that is that's a great training for me, because what happens when I experience that, really giving it all away, not some, not holding any back, that what happens is this amazing shift where I really get it, that God loves me the same way. But God, whatever God is, that not only he loves me like, yeah, you're a nice guy, but his soul, or her soul, her mind, her soul, her heart, it's a two-way, I connect into it. And so that to me is a great training whenever I feel a little bit lost in this whole love thing, to go back to that.
Let's pick up on what Peter said here. I would love for our takeaway, in addition to what you wrote, to be this. I'm a work in progress. Even at my age, even with kids and grandkids, I'm a work in progress. Everyone on this screen is a work in progress. And we're also works in progress in loving. Imagine for a moment, you took a love potion and you became a more loving person. Imagine the vulnerability you would allow yourself, the vulnerability, the letting go of the judgment, the comparing, the disappointment, the insecurity. Let it all go. As you guys have said, it's just obstacles. Clear out all those obstacles and just become a more loving person. That's what Rav Kook is inviting us to do. And that's really what it is to grow as a spiritual human being. And the challenge is with a person that's hard to love, or with a group that's hard to love. Living in Israel, thank God, I have a lot of opportunities to work on loving people that are challenging. I have a lot of I don't have to go very far. And it's deep. And I certainly fail more often than succeed. But this is our invitation from Rav Kook. This is our aspiration, as you know, can I grow a little bit, becoming a more unconditionally loving person? Can I become a more unconditionally loving person? And what effect, harmonic vibrations, what effect would that have on the people around me? Look for the good. Look for the good. Seek the good. Seek the love. We're living in such dark times here. I want to end with this note from Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory. A Hanukkah, one thought. He said, listen, the Greeks, they were on the top of the world. They had philosophy and art and science and armies. They were on the top of the world. And what do we remember the Greeks for? We remember them for the Greek tragedy. It all ends bad. Greek tragedy. And the Jews, we're on the bottom of the world, powerless, persecuted. And what are we remembered for? Hatikva, hope. Shana haba b'Yerushalayim, hope, optimistic. And that's I think got something very deep to do with this love here. You know what? We can be hopeful, we can be optimistic, we can become more loving, we can seek it out. This is the hard inner work, the hard inner work. So I'll give us all a blessing that we should all shed a little more light. We should light another candle tomorrow and find a little more light bring a little more light in the world, a little more light inside our souls, and become more loving. Okay, it's a pleasure as always, great people. Don't forget Sunday. Please pass the word about December 27th. Think of somebody who could benefit from it, would love it. And
What time on Sunday?
Sunday, 6 p.m. Israel, 11 a.m. Eastern time. 11 a.m. Look at you. Sunday. This Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay?
Not
And
11:30, because last time it was 11:30.
right, 11 o'clock. Is 11 o'clock good for people?
That's right.
Okay.
That's all right.
Okay, 11 o'clock. Let me know if that's not good. Looking forward. If not, see you next week.
Thank
Take care.
you.